Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Ishvara. Welcome. So we are beginning with a little chat. Now Lynn has presented us uh, the fact, the contemplation she's having upon these virtues, and finding that she feels that she's lacking on nearly every one of those, and the conversation here is that it's natural, and we don't need to be 100% purified, or we don't have to have these virtues developed to the max. Yeah? Because after all, we are human beings. We have a lot of these instincts, which are based maybe on animal instincts and based on ignorance, a embodied me that wants to protect. And sometimes the best protection involves violating the Dharma. So this is all understandable, and we don't need to feel bad about that. Our goal is to enjoy the fruits of self-knowledge, as I like to put it. One thing is self-knowledge. So in the old days in Chinese world, it was put as self-realization, self-actualization. So different words to explain what Swami Paramarthananda explains in a very clear way. One thing is to have the knowledge. I break it in three levels. One thing is to have the indirect knowledge. Another thing is to have the direct knowledge. And another thing is to enjoy the fruits of direct knowledge. Enjoy the fruits requires purification. Purification was mostly gained before the direct self-knowledge, but it grows, it keeps growing after direct self-knowledge. And the more you purify, the more we're going to enjoy the fruits of self-knowledge. So we want to enjoy life. We want to have love for people, for beings, and gratitude, and so on. So be in peace. Huh? So the more purified we are, more in peace. But in order to get direct self-knowledge, we need to have these uh, virtues relatively developed. Okay. Anything else to be said?
No, that's lovely. Thank you.
So we have seen the virtue of humility or modesty, being illustrated by these great Sanskrit scholars, and they are so beautiful. They are so genuinely humble, and the sense of ownership, authorship, doership has been given place to a sense of resolution into Ishvara, knowing that we are all instruments used by Ishvara. The more we purify our instrument, the more we're going to live without this sense of ownership, doership, authorship. You understand? So these are people that somehow, in their own field of knowledge, they were so religious. Not necessarily. Swami does not make any suggestion whether these Sanskrit scholars so beautiful, if they are self-realized or not. But the fact is, these are real religious people that have a profound understanding of the nature of Saguna Ishvara, and they truly feel like I'm just being an instrument here. I'm nothing. Everything comes, all glories and virtues and talents and whatnot comes from the Lord. And this is an indication of great maturity. So the opposite of that is vanity, is arrogance, is the sense I'm the doer, I'm the knower, I'm go-getter, and so on. He says that in introduction to Sakuntala, I have tried to attempt to write something, yet I'm not confident that my writing is up to the mark, and therefore I'm offering this work to the great scholars and wait for their revision or validation. And only when the scholar validate, I consider I know a little bit of Sanskrit. So this is Kalidatsa. In the same way, Shankaracharya, in the same way, Sureshwaracharya and Madhusadana Sarasvati, all great people, all sages or wise people, the giants, they know, I know very little about Sanskrit. I know very little about the scriptures, So it's much different from fake modesty, Fake modesty, they are just words, but not necessarily they they are conformed with their actions, or sometimes just the vanity that transpires behind actions, that kind of bad smell coming from arrogance, the hamkara. From this, we come to know how much importance is given to humility, and one of the works, Shankaracharya's prayer is, "Oh Lord, remove my self-importance, make me humble." Humility is required in all the field. Humility is particularly required for a seeker of truth, a Vedantic seeker of truth. It has to be so humble. Without this humility, devotion to Lord cannot find space. Without devotion, jnana is impossible. This is very nicely put. So we have Shankara, our great teacher, our idol. He even himself can recognize some very subtle sense of doership, ownership, authorship. It can be very subtle. And then immediately comes the remembrance that all the good comes from the Lord. Lord put me here to do this. And especially when we go into spirituality, we want to get something, a knowledge in respect to something that is absolutely dependent on devotion to God, which is absolutely dependable on humility, on humbleness. If the ego with its vanity and arrogance is in between, self-knowledge is not possible, devotion is not possible, and the byproduct is self-knowledge is not possible. Without devotion, ajñanam will not come. That's why the Rakshasas do not say Om Namo Narayana. They say Om Hiranya Kasapave Mana. Can you translate it so that I get the understanding of the distinction?
Yes, supposedly it's an invocation honoring Hiranyakashipu, who was a demon. And he was a famous devotee of Narayana, but they want to give their devotion to that lesser deity.
Okay.
The demon king he was.
Okay, next virtue is adambitvam. So we have humility, which is physically expressed. It can be verbally and physically expressed, and which is manitvam. Manitvam is an inner feeling. I think I'm wonderful. No, dambitvam is the expression by which we can sense vanity and arrogance. Sometimes it's in the smile of a person. You know, the smile, the facial expression of the person says a lot. So manitvam is an inner feeling. I think I'm wonderful, I'm great, I'm learned, and so on. Nobody can compete with me. This is manitvam. When that manitvam is physically expressed outside through various means, words, and actions, it's called dambitvam. Expressed, unexpressed dambitvam is manitvam, if I made it right. At the physical level, I want admiration because I consider that I'm great. All the people should look at me and talk about me physically also. I conduct myself beginning from the very dress on words and so on. Vanity, decorating the body and the hairstyle and expecting respect, expect admiration. If anything is out of place, the guru may get offended. Once I was coming close to a certain guru in Mount Shasta, and then I went to have lunch with one of his devotees. And I had an appointment to meet with him in the place we were doing a retreat. And then we left the restaurant, and the person I was having lunch with was saying, "We have to rush, we have to rush." Why? Why? Take it easy. No, because we may get there a little bit late. And then I said, "What's the big deal, if we're a few minutes late?" He said, no, he gets mad if he has to wait for a few minutes. There were so many signals that were pointing to me that there was something fundamentally wrong about that guy. So if you have this kind of inner feeling that I deserve respect, I deserve validation and glorification, and nobody can offend me, a 5 minutes delay is offense, and so on, you are having that manitvam expressed as as dambitvam. So Swami Dayananda used to talk sometimes about this problem in terms of if you require or demand respect, you lost all your power. If you demand or expect validation, you lost all your power. Why? Because you can't control people. It shows that you are very powerless. You are putting, your life depend on things that you have no control. So it's a setup for suffering. And then those expressions can go to the extent of the dress we use. No? Someone who is so vain that needs to see everybody noticing, paying attention, giving attention every time they walk by. Self-decoration and beauty parlors They are important in this world. Everybody wants to be the center of attention. Okay. Okay, we give some examples. Therefore, all these are attention-seeking expressions, validation-seeking expression, glorification-seeking expressions, ornamentation, pretensions. So, dambhitva means all forms of pretensions through vesham, through abharanam, through actions. That's called vanity physically expressed, dambhitva. Adambhitvam is the opposite, of course. I don't care for any attention, validation. I don't care if people love me or hate me. Of course, every one of us prefer that people enjoy, likes us, appreciate us. But if they don't, so it's not a problem. I can control. So in a positive, simple language, it means simplicity. So in terms of the dress you use, the terms of movement, ornamentation, the person loses itself in a crowd without anything that could suggest that he's a special person, you know. He's not going to call attention. Only small people, small minds want attention. As the English proverb goes, empty vessel makes noise. A full vessel does not make any noise. So, dambhitva means pretension. Adambhitva means simplicity. All truly great people are simple. Simple. It's not only a question of being a sannyasi or having no ownership of anything, you know. Even if you own a house, yet you know Ishvara owns the house and allows you to live in the house. And the attitude is simplicity in any case. The third one is ahimsa. Ahimsa means no violence, not injuring other living beings. Ahimsa means injury. We don't mean to hurt other human beings, but all beings. Avoid injuring all other beings. And at the three karana level, at the level of three instruments, because we have got three instruments which can cause injury. So all human beings have the words and the intentions behind the words to hurt people, the mind and the words. The other jivas do not have the mind and the words that could hurt other people. But we have these three levels, you know, mental, verbal, and physical ahimsa, or potentially ways by which we can hurt other people. So we have these three levels in our body-mind construct, which is a blessing, but it can be used as a weapon. Your mere existence is enough. There is an inbuilt weapon. Interesting, huh? And that's why we see so many conflict and wars in the world. What are these three weapons? Kayala, Vachika, Manasa. We have our physical instruments through which we do things and we speak as well. Physically, we act through hands and legs. And hands and legs can be used as a weapon, so much so that they call it sports. All the fighting, using hands and legs, they call sport. I don't know why. Similarly, Vak is another instrument. So other animals cannot talk. Human beings are the only ones with this beautiful instrument allows us to not only making noise, but we we trans we transmit, concepts through our noise. We make noise, and the noise they follow language. Language use words. Each word has a meaning. So it's a very wonderful, complex instrument by which we learn to communicate. But if we abuse it, we're going to communicate very little, but use it for attacking others. So there is usually saying that the wound caused by a tongue will not heal easily. This is so much true. So we have to be very careful because sometimes if you say what you think, it's over. It's over, the relationship is over, the other is never going to forgive you, and you're never going to forgive yourself just because you spelled it out. There is a third instrument called the mind, the intentions behind our words and actions. Mentally also, it's possible to hurt others through thoughts. Also, cursing others. Mentally cursing others, and remember, thoughts are powerful force and therefore kayaka. What is this? Kayaka, vachika, the three levels, yeah. We use our instruments, our mental and physical instruments of communication as a weapon. So why ahimsa is a value to be practiced, observed. In the Yoga Sutras, Astanga Yoga, they talk about 10 important virtues. I call them the 10 commandments of Hinduism in the form of yama and yama groups. We have seen in this 6th chapter of the Gita, in the 10th commandments of Hinduism, the first commandment is ahimsa. So if I remember well, yama and yama is what you have to avoid and what you have to develop, right?
I think I looked this up because I'm not as clear on the Hindu religion, but they've got 5 yamas, which are external restraints to put upon yourself, and the 5 niyamas are the internal observances.
Nice. Yeah. It's better than just simply put do's and do nots. The first commandment is ahimsa, and then satyam, be truthful, asteyam, brahmacharyam, aparigraha, and there we go. So can you translate these 10 commandments?
Yeah. Ahimsa, nonviolence, of course. Satyam, truthfulness. Satyam, not stealing.
Yeah.
Brahmacharyam, celibacy, moderation. Aparigraha, non-possessiveness. Those are the 5 external restraints. And the 5 niyamas, or internal observances, are saucha, purity, santosha, contentment, tapa, self-discipline, swadhyaya, self-study, and Ishvara, pranidhani, surrender to Ishvara.
Beautiful. So we dealt with these in the 6th chapter introduction. Ahim is supposed to be the most important. A major of all, a spiritual seeker has to be committed to ahimsa. Why do we consider a major one? It is another topic which we can deal with on and on, but I will just mention it very briefly. Just the important feature. The first significance of the importance is very simple. I should not do to others what I do not want to be done to me. Very simple law. This is universal. Why? Because nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to be injured. Not only human beings, but all other beings. Nobody wants to be injured. So when you see that everybody agrees that nobody wants to be injured, and there we have a universal principle, law. So even mosquitoes do not want to be killed when we try to kill them. They try to escape. And if we don't want others to hurt me, it becomes an universal law, and it is an instinctive expectation that nobody should hurt me as well. Nobody will teach this, but everybody will feel that way. You know, if somebody attacks you, injures you, and so on, you're going to feel like that's not acceptable. It's a natural expectation. So what is my expectation? Nobody should hurt me. This is universal. The Ananda used to say, only when I do not rub against universal laws, I can have peace of mind. So in other words, if I rub against Ishvara, which is its universal laws, if I violate Ishvara's universal laws, I will pay the price. Only when I do not rub against universal laws, I can enjoy peace. So when I'm rubbing myself against Ishvara's laws and principles, holding the Dharma, you know, I'm hurting myself. And that is, again, a point to be highlighted because Vedanta is all based on knowledge. And once we have knowledge clearly established, and then it's easier for us to come up with the willpower to discipline ourselves. And how is the word? Restrain from doing certain actions. Okay? So when we do that, we are hurting others. We are hurting myself. We're hurting ourselves because we are violating certain laws. When we violate certain laws, but some people they lose all sensibility, mental, emotional sensibility. They don't even feel hurt. They can hurt others in such an extreme. And those are the psychopaths, you know, the sociopaths and so on. They don't have any empathy or love or sensitivity. But most of us, we have that. And then we feel the hurt. And even if you don't feel the hurt now, Ishvara is taking everything into account. And it's going to hurt sooner or later. Understand? Then Ananda gives the famous example of a certain tree has a very rugged surface. If you just touch that tree or body contact with the tree, the tamarind or neem tree, uh, nothing happens to the tree, but what happens to you is terrible. You're gonna be itching or hurting when you rub against a tree. So I'm injuring myself by by rubbing against such a tree. I'm injuring myself. Dharma, the universal law, is like that tree, that structure. If I violate, if I go against it, I will be paying a price. If I violate universal law, nothing happens to the law the same way nothing happens to the tree. Nothing happens to Ishvara. We are hurting ourselves. Therefore, ahimsa is following universal laws, being the most fundamental. Has an important significance. The second, it says this is more in terms of karma. The whole world is like a bank. We all have a karmic bank account with Ishvara. Whatever I'm contributing to the field, to the Ishvara, remains as a positive karmic deposit in my account. Whatever I deposit now, I will enjoy later. It's like a saving accounts. So I'm doing punya actions and I'm going to reap punya future prarabdhas. I'm depositing himsa into the world, and which means in the future I will draw only himsa. I will get papan. I put papan karmas in the field. I get papan results. I get what I put into Ishvara's system. Okay, I get from the world what I give into the world. This is so simple to be understood. Yet some people, sometimes they find themselves to be so spiritual. Yesterday I got a message from that friend of mine from California, not really friend, but he was trying to tell me that there is no such a thing as karma, So they don't have any understanding of what karma is. They are ultimately the most materialistic person because if there is no cause and effect, it means that this world is not structured in an intelligent, predictable way. You understand? It means to say that you can reap a lot of punya by doing whatsoever actions. Therefore, you don't need to observe the actions you put into the field. So they don't understand that is pure negation of intelligent design Ishvara world, which requires a designer of the world. So very simply put, what I get from the world, what I give to the world. If I give compassion, love, I get the same. If I give sharing, love, empathy, I get what? I get the same. If I give a violation and injury, I will get that back only. And of course, it is like that. It's enough that we observe. We observe. We do some wrong actions, and it does not attract good results. We know that. Therefore, if we want to have good results, if we don't want others to injure us, I have to deposit ahimsa actions into my karmic account, because ultimately I get what I give. And then somebody comes and says, "Oh, but I have been behaving so well for the past 3 months, and look what I'm getting." No, so no, it is like that. You reap what you did sow, and if you stop sowing papakarmas 3 months ago, it does not cancel all the himsa actions, words you put into the system, in the past or in previous births. You need to come to understand this karmic equation of life in such a depth so that you develop devotion to Ishvara system and total acceptance, knowing that if I get papa, it means it's serving to purify my soul by exhausting some papa karma. Not only you get what you sow, but there is an expression in English language that says, if you sow a wind, you reap a whirlwind. That's very nice, huh? Because sometimes it can somehow, amplifies, and then you get yourself into a lot of trouble. You get sometimes it's multiplied. Therefore, ahimsa becomes important for my own future, and as we know, for a seeker of truth, the seeker of spiritual development. So we don't want to have a body mind hit by terrible prarabdha karma, people attacking you and people criticizing you, like we see even among some teachers, you have those kind of feedbacks coming to you because your mind gets disturbed. You don't want. So as a spiritual person wanting to grow spiritually, you want to keep your mind as sattvic as possible. So for my future, it's very important that I don't hurt others so that my mind remains peaceful and contemplative. The third aspect is the most important in terms of psychology. The tendency to hurt others is an impulse which is natural to humans. This is a nice, a nice, how you say, nice element, psychological piece here. So why we tend to hurt others? It's very complex, this tendency of being hostile to some people. Tendency to be hostile to others is an impulse which is common. And when you say like this is common, this is natural, it does not mean that it's positive, but it's common. Okay? Humans are commonly and naturally ignorant, and they respond impulsively, ignorantly. It's natural tendency to hurt others or being hostile as a defense system. A lot of people, they are hostile to protect themselves from people's attack. I know that from my personal experience because I had to do that at certain stage of my life. I became hostile as a means to protect myself. When we hurt others, the psychology behind is I got some expectations, and then if expectations are not fulfilled, and then I feel hurt, and then I hurt others. That's basically what it is. So take your family members or neighbors or government or anything. Everybody has their own raga dvesha. If the raga dveshas are not met, conformed, we feel somehow hurt. And then we tend to hurt others uh, impulsively. compulsively because we got hurt. So the psychology here is we hurt others because we feel hurt, or there is a potential to get hurt, or because I am chronically hurt, and then somehow I develop an attitude of hostility towards others. Sometimes it's towards a certain person, You develop long-term relationships. Sometimes there is something that develops a bad pattern of hostility. If they are not fulfilled, I'm uncomfortable and I become hostile. If they are fulfilled, it's okay. I feel comfortable and happy with the setup of my circumstance, my situation, or some people in there, or some things. It can be, oh, I bought a new car, but the car is giving me so much trouble. I'm losing so much money, and then I'm very angry with even the car. But of course, I'm not gonna beat the car up because that would make things worse. Most of the time, our expectations are not fulfilled. This is an important piece of psychology. Because when we say that life is about punya papa, punya papa, punya papa, I try to remind people that it's mostly about papa. Why? Because most of the time our expectations are not fulfilled. Why? Because we have no control. There are infinite factors operating the field. And then if I have strong ragged vashes, I'm going to set myself up for experiencing disturbance. Why? I'm expecting something which is beyond my capacity to control, such as how is the stock market, how is the geopolitical conditions, or how is the other, behaving towards me. Everybody has their own ragged vessel, and they are going to respond or present their actions and the words, in this case, to me, to the person, according to the Ragged Vesha program. Unfortunately, they have their own program. Here we are putting as free will. Most of us, we don't really exercise a free will because the free will is a choice, a conscious choice. When it's almost 100% compulsive overreaction, there is not much choice involved there. But still, there is a possibility for understanding to take place, and those compulsive overreactions may turn into ponderation, contemplation, and better actions, But you will never find that among the politicians. Unfortunately, they have the power to choose. If Bhagwan has given power to choose to me and not to others, then I will be fine. What I choose is law. Yeah? You have no right to choose anything. Nobody can challenge me. I dictate. My Ravid Vesha says it's going to be like this, otherwise I'm going to make sanctions or introduce 100 to 100% tariffs, And then most of the time, my expectations are not fulfilled, will never be fulfilled. The more I grow up, the more the number of expectations are, and they become even finer and finer and subtler. It means finer means when I say I want color with the green, also this green and that expectations are fulfilled, I get into a rage. So he's present something here that it's very it's very nice. Some people, they develop ragged rash to such an extreme, they become so fussy, that somehow the expressions can go into the nuance, such as, I like to paint my house green, but I haven't found the proper green. and then you find a proper green, and then when somebody goes there and put that green on the wall, it has a different effect, and then the person is really upset because it's not the perfect green. You understand? So expectations brings about frustrations, brings about hurt. Swami is building to explain that we tend to hurt others because of our binding raga passions, producing expectations, frustrations, and frustrations very often produce irritation and anger, hostility, attack. When my expectations are fulfilled, the natural consequence is that I feel hurt. Is feel, I have to find a victim here. I'm going to, point my fingers to somebody because I don't have enough Viveka Shakti or intellectual integrity, honesty, objectivity to understand what's being said here. I hold on to my expectations because my expectations, I find it natural. And then the person suffers, person suffers. Once I'm hurt, what happens? My reaction is I'm hurt. Somebody's going to have to pay the bill for my hurt. I will find an object in which I can download my hurt. The object means the person who did that, or a circumstance, or a group of people, or the government, or whatever, The setup which was not up to the mark, I hurt people, I'm hurting, I cause hurt to others. So the psychology is a hurt person hurts others. An injured person injures others. The point is, everybody's hurt. No wonder everybody's hurting others. Okay? And nobody asking a proper question and that leads to a proper investigation. It's why I feel injured and hurt since I know myself as an adult. Why? And Vedanta takes us all the way until our ragged versions, our abiding ragged versions, which is going to produce frustration, depression sometimes, and sooner or later, irritation, anger, or a chronic, attitude of being hostile. There is no gap between my hurt and my causing injury to others. I'm hurt, I'm hurting others. Swami says there is no gap. Okay? So usually the person who is hurt does not have the possibility to pause before they present their words and deeds to the other. Okay? It's so tight, the whole situation. You are hurting and you are just making someone pay for it. Again, I say those things from direct experience. I used to say in the beginning, when self-knowledge took place, that before self-recognition, every time, very often I was feeling miserable for things not being according to my expectations. And whenever I was miserable, I was making sure that I would make some people miserable as well around me. So I used to tell that in my satsangs. So the child misbehaves, there is no time gap. Immediately, I respond with injury. I'm going to beat up my child. It's impulsive, it comes right away. There is no gap. There is no time to pause before you overreact. It's binding, it's compulsive, It's impulsive. Himsa should not happen. It's possible only under one condition. Himsa is natural when anybody does not behave to my expectations. I'm bound to react. And if this natural reaction should stop, it is possible only under one condition. You know what the condition is. My mind should become sensitive. So now we go to the opposite of insensitive mind that somehow hurts others because it feels hurt in the first place, feels hurt because it has unrealistic expectations, and then this mind lose sensitivity because it's hurting. If you hurt all the time, you lose, your mind is going to lose a lot of its empathy and sensitivity and so on. So now you have to reverse that. Okay, you have to reverse, and you have to go all the way down to this psychological analysis to understand why you developed a hurt mind and you're still living from that base. You know, I'm hurting. Therefore, my overreactions, my response are going to be overreaction. They are coming from feeling hurt. And when I overreact, I'm not very sensible about hurting others. It means to say, I may hurt people. I may kill millions of people, like we see with these psychopath politicians, right and left. So they don't have a sensitivity of killing people. They don't feel sorry about anything. They don't feel anything. So sensitive. But if my mind is sensitive, it becomes difficult to hurt other people. Why? Because I don't want to be hurt. So I'm not going to hurt others because I don't want to be hurt. And because I'm too sensitive, every time I hurt somebody, I feel the hurt. Yeah. So a sensible person is not going to rationalize to avoid feeling the hurt. So when we talk about we don't hurt others because we feel the hurt, there are different levels, you know. We can say that yes, because ultimately all there is one conscious existence, one Brahman, one Ishvara. And if I hit others, I'm hitting myself because there is only one self. This is more philosophically, you know. This is one ultimate level. But since the self is not an experienced entity, so, but anyhow, but if we develop a certain sensitivity, empathy, love, compassion, and so on, and if sometimes we overreact, hurting other people, you know, if I'm being so sensible, I'm gonna feel the hurt of other person. So I'm sometimes puts it like put yourself in the place of the other and feel the hurt of the other, you know. So there is a concept in the kind of more esoteric level that says that when we leave our physical body, we go in a kind of different realm in which we do a sort of life review in which we see everybody we have hurt, everything we have done violating the laws and principles of the Creator. So we go through all of that. And what I find interesting about this concept is that in this life review, it's said that you're going to feel the hurt of every hurt you inflict on other people, which is a way to right away pay for your papa, yeah? Exhausting some papa. So you are just immediate. Oh, look what I was not aware. Look how deep was this hurt? Simple things I did, simple words or horrible things I did, you know. So that is it has some insightful meaning. This concept of life review. So
Arlindo,
yes.
what do you think about the concept of asking Ishvara for forgiveness? The idea of forgiveness in this life.
Well, I mean, a mature karma yogi, let's say, or religious person, does not ask, it offers, and in truth, a mature karma yogi, it does not ask because it knows that Ishvara is going to give me, exactly what I deserve. I'm not going to ask Ishvara to change the system to favor me because I'm offering my prayers. That's why all these prayers, I see them, if there is anything positive, all these prayers of oh please security, please Jesus, please that. If there is anything positive about that, is the person at least is remembering Ishvara as the karma paladata. Much beyond that, a mature karma yogi is not going to ask for anything, and he's gonna just say like, Shwara, I'm doing my best. Yeah? I have my limitations and defects, but I have a resolve. My resolve is to observe Dharma and to grow spiritually. And I'm your devotee, and whatever is my parabada, please, you know. I'm here to take it without any complaints. And then there is not much a question of asking for forgiveness. Okay, we have to pay. You see, only the big bankers, totally corrupt in this corrupted world, they 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 are they are bailed out. They are giving forgiveness. Oh no, it's too big to fall. But in general, nobody can escape the laws of Ishvara. The laws of human beings is subject to corruption all the time. But with Ishvara, no, it's just a natural law. And so when you say, like, can we ask forgiveness? If anything relate to forgiveness is to forgive yourself. You understand? Forgive oneself is just understanding that our intentions are the best possible, but in spite of my best efforts here, I still fall short here and there, and I may commit some mistakes. You understand? But I forgive myself because I'm doing my best. You understand? But that has to be very sincere, not like we keep repeating the same mistake, say, no, I'm doing my best. No, really doing your best, really feeling the pain of hurting others, and then other creatures, and then make even more of an effort to become uh, pure, free from hostility or aggression or injuring others. No? So here the insight here is very beautiful. Is I'm going to stop being hostile and hurting and injuring other people only to the extent that my mind was developed sensitivity, and then I feel that I'm hurting others and that hurts me. It's not because we are one, it's because I became sensitive. I became sensitive. I don't want to be hurt, and I know that everybody wants to live in peace. And if I make a mistake and I produce hurt to others, the best thing is to make amendments. Is sometimes they say you just deal with that karma, with that conflict. I used to present this concept in my satsangs in the early days, saying like if I make a mistake, if I had anything positive in my days before self-recognition was that I was always ready to apologize and promise. I will never do it again. And then I was going to do it. And then I would apologize, say, I'm going to never do it again, you know? And then I would do it. And then I came to a point, I turned to Sylvia and say, oh, I will never promise I will not do it again. The only thing I say is that I'm making my best never to do it again. Okay? So any one of these overreactions that are violent, I wish you forgive me knowing that I'm doing my best never to repeat it, but I can't promise it. I stopped promising. That was the only difference. Because Sylvia used to threaten me to pack up her clothes in a suitcase and leave me. And then I would say, no, please don't leave me, you know? And then I came a point I say, no, I can't make any promise anymore. So if you want to leave me, pack up and leave because maybe I'm a helpless case. So one has to become sensitive, not because you don't want the other leave you, because you can't live with yourself hurting others anymore. It hurts you. Sensitive mind will feel the pain of the other person. We have to think very well. A sensitive person is one who feels not only the pain of oneself, it feels the pain of others as well. This is very profound, see these genocides happening all over the world, and people, oh, it's okay, it's probably the karma, they exhaust their purpose, but a sensitive person, feels, the pain of others. We cannot do anything. We understand the laws, the karmic laws of causality, and everybody's here, getting what they deserve. But I don't want that people suffer as a byproduct of my direct actions. If others are inflicting suffering on others, I feel the hurt of the people who is suffering that. But I myself, I can't do it anymore. At least I myself, I'm uh, I'm totally dedicated to not hurting other beings. Because when I feel the pain of other people, what happens? The consequence, in anger, I have an impulse to hurt others. Not only the other person is hurt, what happens when the other person is hurt, I also sense the pain. I also go through the pain like the mother who beats a child, who goes through the pain of that hit, of that beat. The mother is never comfortable because the mother goes through the pain which the child goes through. There is so many unfoldments from this one I would like to share with you because, next time, remind me that I want to unfold a little bit more this concept here. Anything else? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Ishvara Namaste. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, as always. Nobody's traveling. Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Islander. See you Monday.
See you. Bye-bye, Mark.